Hello, hello. So in this video, you might think that I sound judgmental, and I don't want to be thought of as judgmental. I am judgmental, but it's going to sound a little bit judgmental, but that's not what I mean. Okay, so I recently got a call from an entrepreneur, somebody very smart and thoughtful, and he wants to take salespeople and he wants to create extra motivation for them. And he's kind of using the standard approaches. When people are successful, let's not just give them a commission, let's give them points, let's give them ladder boards, compare them to other people, let's kind of increase their motivation. Anyway, he wanted some feedback on that, and I gave him the feedback I could. But then I said, before you go on, let's take a step back and let's think about motivation. And this video is really about motivation. And I told him, when people are already successful, they sell something, they manage to get to something, there's already a built-in motivation. Let's think more holistically about motivation. And I propose that we think about motivation in three different types. The first type is basically saying, are we sure that people know what's the right thing to do and they're just not doing it already? Or should we help them figure out what's the right thing to do? Think about something like education, like teaching. Do teachers know what they need to do and just not get paid enough, or there's not enough bonuses or stickers or whatever? No. Teaching is a very tough thing to do. It's very hard to figure out what should you do differently. So I think that the first bucket when we think about motivation is figuring out how do we help people figure out what's the right thing to do. What's the right thing to do in terms of, for me, in terms of writing, in terms of research, giving talks, doing videos. What's the right thing to do in general and specifically to us? Not just in general what makes a good TED Talk, but what is my style within that? So before we go ahead and reward people for succeeding in something, let's have a bucket that says, let's help people figure out what works in general and what works for them. That's the first thing, the first bucket. The second bucket is really about the time when we are not successful. Let's say that we apply for jobs. In 2008, after the financial crisis, lots of people applied for jobs. And the British government figured out that for every 100 times people send resumes, they got a response. That's a very low success rate. So, when people are already managing to do something, they're already successful. They already get points, money, whatever. What about the time when people are doing all the right things, but things don't work out? I send all my resume. So if the first bucket is about learning what to do in general and what to do specifically for us, the second bucket is about how do we keep motivation when people are not reaching their goals yet. Think about something like saving for a rainy day fund. Imagine I want to save on the side 3 months of salary for a rainy day. And imagine that every month I take 5% of my salary, it's a lot, and I put it aside for that. How long will it take me to be successful? Well, if every month I put 5%, every 20 months I'll have 1 month of salary saved. It will take me 60 months, that's 5 years. It means that for 5 years, I'll be saving 5% every month, and it will take me 5 years to get there. What about cases where I apply for jobs and I send resumes and so on? How do we think about this task of motivating people, not when we're successful, but we're on the way, or when things are not working out? If I try to sell something and it takes 3 years, or if I have a 10% success rate, or if I do a research project and the results don't work out as I expect, how do we, or I work on a chapter for a book and I discover it's not as good as I thought. How do we work on motivation? And in general, there's lots of things that we do that really take a long time. And During that time, we have ups and downs and failures, and we're working toward an end goal of success, but there's lots of path in the middle. How do we get people to feel motivated? Anyway, so the second bucket is about not the motivation when there's success, but the motivation when we are on the path. And I said, I told this entrepreneur, instead of giving points when they're successful, give them points when they've done the right things. Help them realize that they put the right effort. Yes, the other person didn't call them back, but they did the right thing. So how do we work on motivation when the world is not rewarding us yet? We're doing the right thing, but the world is not yet rewarding us. That's the second bucket. And then the third bucket is about goals. Imagine I worked for you, and every quarter we would meet. And you would ask me, you would say, Dan, what are your goals for this quarter? And I would say, you know what? I want to improve my teaching material a little bit, and I want to work on these 2 chapters, and I want to do X, Y, and Z. And then we would meet at the end of the quarter, and you would say, Dan, here are your goals. What did you achieve? What did you achieve from those things? And on the things that you didn't achieve what you were hoping to, what could you have done to help me do that better? That, I think, is the third bucket. It's a bucket about setting objectives that are not about the final objective, in this case, is the sales. Anyway, what is the point? The point is that we do lots of things in life that require lots of effort on the way. And when we get to the final goal and it's successful, no need to worry about anything because it's already rewarding. But how do we reward the pathway? How do we help people understand what's the right thing to do in general and for themselves? How do we reward the right actions that would hopefully lead in the long term to the right outcomes, but not necessarily? And how do we create personal goals on the way, things that people want to learn, get better at, improve, and so on? And if we think about those 3 buckets, then I think we can really help people increase their motivation. Now, what will this person from this startup do with this? I'm not sure, but hopefully they'll create something that would help more people be more motivated in our difficult, complex time.